Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you're having a fantastic Sunday. We're going to be talking about Hellraiser again, and it's kind of like a Hellraiser weekend. Semi-informal, because I kind of want to correct something, but also express my confusion, I guess, as it were, over Hellraiser, the new one, being a remake or a reboot and not connected to the other movies. Because I've said that. But I stand corrected. David Bruckner, the director, has come out and said that it is not a reboot or a remake. But I will say that is confusing because the box is different in this movie. The way the Cenobites function in this movie breaks law and canon. And even the Cenobite creation is different in this movie. So forgive me for my transgressions and, you know, revealing that it was a remake or a reboot, because apparently it's not. But I'm sure you can understand where I'm coming from with the confusion over this, which you guys will see when you watch the movie. The Cenobite creation is not the same as it was before. The only thing that looks the same is Leviathan. That's it. It's very odd. But let's take a look, shall we? I've got this article here over on CBR, which just has some comments from, David Bruckner and things like this. But it's just odd, and I just wanted to sort of set the record straight about it all, because again, just have to do that when things get corrected, I guess. So, in October 2020, fans of the Hellraiser film will get to see a brand new entry in the long-running horror series, courtesy of Hulu and Spyglass Media Group. The reboot, which carries the same moniker as the 1987 original film, will feature a brand new Pinhead, played by actor Jamie Clayton, and will also follow a brand new protagonist named Riley, a young woman, an addict, who comes into possession of the puzzle box. Interestingly enough, director David Bruckner has asserted that the film is not a remake. Right, but it's a new movie that takes place in the already established Hellraiser universe. Okay. I just don't get it. Now, they say that this is not to say that remakes are all bad. History has shown that there have been many a great remake of classic horror films, including ones that completely exceed the original in fans' eyes, like The Thing or The Fly. However, making a new movie that exists in the same universe is the smartest approach for filmmakers when taking on a 35-year-old franchise like Hellraiser. It is the best decision for the movie itself and for courting long-time fans who bristle at the thought of reboots that completely erase what they love. But that's not completely true. So we say this. The new Hellraiser can make connections to the previous films. Now, I'm going to assert why I think this is connected to the other films, and we'll get to that in a moment. But let's see what they speculate, and I'll tell you whether it's wrong. Because I cannot see how this is connected, and that's important, right? Because I know the leaks. I've got all the leaks for this film. I know exactly what happens in this film. So, in my head, I can't see how this film is connected. But what I thought I would do is just see how someone who doesn't know speculates that there's a connection. And then what I can do is either go, oh yeah, maybe I didn't think of that, or no, that doesn't happen. And then I'll tell you why I think this is connected. So they say it might be tempting for filmmakers attempting a reboot to wipe the slate clean and start fresh. Although it may give these artists the chance to creatively rebuild a franchise's future from the ground up, it can also seem rather wasteful when they have the mythology of the previous films to pull from. Thankfully, what Hellraiser appears to be doing is closer to the recent Candyman reboot, which was not a remake either, and instead the film was a belated sequel where it is, new lead character, blah, 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 blah. So the new Hellraiser has the opportunity to follow the same strategy, where it has connections to the previous films and cleverly builds upon the world that they created. It also has the opportunity to surprise the audience with links to beloved characters that they did not expect, such as original protagonist Kirsty, villainous Frank and Julia, or even Cenobites of the past, such as Angelique from Bloodline. Right, well, I can tell you this much. Kirsty doesn't appear, Frank doesn't appear, neither does Julia, from what I know. I think if I remember rightly, Chatterer did appear, but I could be wrong on that. Don't quote me on that. But I'm pretty certain there was a character which resembled Chatterer. But there's no Angelique or anything like that. Hellraiser's approach is the best way to court long-time fans. So the new Hellraiser strategy also seems to be... I mean, they're not even speculating anything, for goodness sake. So the only connection... The only connection I know is Leviathan. That's it. But... The only connection... This is not a remake. I just didn't think you could ever remake the original Hellraiser. It's too much its own thing. And it would be, I think, perilous territory for filmmakers. Because how do you top that? This is a new story in the Hellraiser universe. I mean, I read this. I didn't even pick that up, I don't think. I just don't see how it is. Here's my speculation on why this is connected to the other films. But I still don't understand how it is from a rights perspective. So, Clive Barker now has the rights back to Hellraiser overall. We know that. Like, he did the lawsuit, copyright lawsuit, and he's won the rights back. I think, by proxy, there's a certain level of ownership, maybe. Especially like to the original, perhaps, so they can say, well, it's in the Hellraiser universe. Or maybe Bruckner's words are being taken too literally, and it's not a remake itself, because we're not remaking the original film. Because they're not, but it's in the Hellraiser universe by, I don't know, tentative vagueness. The box is completely different in this film. Looks very similar, but it functions very differently. So that's one connection that's scrapped completely. The way the Cenobites are called, so obviously in the second film, no, it is not hands that call us, but desire. That's not the same. It's blood, and it's anyone's blood. It can even be used on other Cenobites, so that's completely different. That's two connections completely scrapped. The Cenobite creation's completely different. Obviously in Hellraiser 2 we saw one being created. We've also seen Elliot Spencer being turned into Pinhead. Completely different. Bathed in light. Completely different approach. I don't see the connection. But I've got to stand corrected to a certain degree. He is saying it's in the Hellraiser universe. I'm telling you, from what I know, I don't see how it is. The only way, in my eyes, that there's a connection would be to do with Clive Barker. But there's my correction on the connection. I don't have anything else for you. Sorry. And also, side note, I did think that this weekend would be really full of news. I kind of set myself to one side. I was waiting for all the news to drop, courtesy of D23, but it's been a bit poor for news from Disney. Really quite a poor expo, I think. And I think this year overall, just side note off onto a completely different topic, I think this year overall has been pretty bad for movie news and releases. You know, San Diego Comic-Con was pretty poor. This one's been pretty poor. DC fandom was pretty poor. All pretty poor for releases this year. I don't see why. Very confusing. But anyway, let me know how you think there's a connection. There may be something that I didn't think of. But the box is completely different. The Cenobite's completely different. I don't get it. It's all completely different to me. So let me know what you guys think. You may, well, strong chance that you will think of something which I didn't consider. So let me know. Be curious to hear. Hope you have a great Sunday. Take care.